Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Let's Get Real with Seven Podcast. Today's title of the episode is called That Don't Define Me. And I have my brother as my guest today, and I will allow him to introduce himself. Go ahead, brother.
I'm Malunga Moise. Some people call me Team.
Tell the people a story about why people call you Team.
So the reason why people call me Team is when I was younger and we first came to America, I didn't speak English really.
Yeah.
So my mom's friends came over, which are our godparents now, came over to our house, and Brother Tony asked me what my name was.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what he was saying, but on the back of my shirt, I had like a jersey, like those kind of jerseys that said family, team, friends, or together. Mine said Team on the back, and he said, "Oh, your name is Team." So ever since that, it's stuck, and I love it.
And now people call you Team. All right, man. Well, today, the reason why I wanted to get you on this episode in particularly because I feel like growing up, you were kind of defined as the bad child almost. Well, there's 10 of us, and you were like the troublemaker. And so I kind of wanted you on this episode because like you could have allowed that to like kind of define who you were and then really became a bad kid. You were just, in a sense, bad compared to all the rest of us. Because you kind of just wanted to do your own thing, and you were just kind of hard-headed. Doesn't mean that you were a bad kid in particular, but that was kind of the label that you had in the family as, oh, Team's the bad kid. So, one, I would like for you to talk a little bit about that. One, there's 10 of us. What was it like to be kind of defined as that, like growing up in a family of 10?
In a sense, growing up in a family of 10 was kind of hard because even if you weren't competing with just like it's hard to compete with just one person or two. So it's like when you're competing with 10, everything somebody else does, like you look like, oh, why can't I do it like them, or why can't I do it at like the same level?
Okay.
And not only was I looking at that, so was like my parents, like my mom, my older siblings, and like they didn't know, but I knew all the time, and it meant a little more to me just because I did start off rough. And I made some obviously questionable decisions. I wasn't really like respectful, but obviously we were all respectful. Yeah. But when you compare yourself to somebody else, you could always be more respectful.
That's true.
Like come off like completely like packaged in a sense. And I knew I wasn't.
Okay, so I don't know if you're comfortable enough to share about all those rough moments growing up that you had, but I would love for you to kind of share that with the people, because at the end of the day, the reason behind this podcast is to show people that we're not perfect, right? That we all make mistakes, but that doesn't have to be who we end up being at the end of the day, correct?
Correct.
And so for me, again, well, for us, we're more of spiritual people, and we grew up in a family, a Christian home, and a lot of people, when they think about Christians, they think of a lot of Christians put out this persona of like, oh, I'm perfect, like I'm better than you because I am a Christian. That is not me at all. Like I'll be the first one to say that I am the most imperfect human being ever, and I make so much mistakes. Just a
little better than me, though.
No, right? Not at all. Well, yes,
I'm a little more imperfect than you, but
no, that's not at all. This is kind of like let people like, dude, like we make mistakes, like, definitely. But this is I want to create a space where like you feel okay to talk about what you went through because now. You're not that, and we'll talk about that later on during the episode. But for now, I want you to kind of talk about the things you went through, man, like some of the mistakes you did. Like, I don't want to be the one to tell people because I want you to be comfortable enough to share everything or most of the things or a little bit of things, just whatever you're comfortable sharing with people. Almost like a testimony.
Yeah. So, like, man, it goes all the way back to, like, elementary school. I remember kind of vividly, what pushed me to do some of the things I did, but like
what pushed you to do those things?
I'm about to start.
My bad.
No, it's okay.
That's on me.
It's all good. So when we moved from Sun Valley, and
Sun Valley was our elementary school.
Yeah, and like on Olive. But when I moved from there to obviously Avondale to Wigwam, I at first I didn't have any like anybody to hang out with.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like a new environment, new people, and sometimes it's hard to like make friends in that environment.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that, obviously. The one thing I loved to do was like just play like some basketball, just shoot around.
Yeah.
Like always out there rather than like just sitting down talking like for recess and stuff like that. So eventually I found my group of friends where it was like on the courts, but obviously they were not the friends that I needed in my life, but they were the friends I was given at the point in my life.
Right.
So one time it started with the first fight I had. Okay. Do you remember that? It was like in Wigwam. Like I came home late one day from, I think it was just playing at the courts.
Okay. And
like the group of friends I so-called hung out with, like I was just trying to go home and an altercation happened where I ended up fighting a kid. His name was obviously Logue.
Oh, okay. I think it was at the park.
It was at the park, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was coming home from it and they kind of, what is the word called? Aggravated me and in a sense like provoked me to do something that was kind of like not my nature.
Okay.
So I ended up fighting, like ended up going home. It got bigger than it was supposed to because I didn't know what happened. The cops came, the ambulance came, and that was just kind of the moment where I just felt like, okay, like ever since that, even though mom didn't get mad at me or anything like that and it was self-defense, like that's kind of where like things started rolling. So when I went back to school, like I kind of got respect for that in a sense, like with my group of friends, but at the same time I didn't.
Yeah.
But when I was with those group of friends, like I was exposed to like obviously some drugs, some like just staying out all night, even in middle school, like when I was in 7th grade, 7th and 8th grade. And like obviously like people who were in high school, like in our family, like they surrounded themselves with better people, you know? Okay. They understood the notion of like you are who you surround yourself with. And yeah, just staying out late, not like letting mom know where I was at, like being around people like who had drugs, alcohol, like, and like their siblings, like, or the friends I had, their siblings, like put them around it all the time. So it was normal for them.
Yeah.
One day I came home, nobody even knows this, but B ended up like finding like a little
blunt.
Yeah. Like
I remember that.
You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had done laundry and I left it in my pocket. And yeah, I left it in my pocket. B told me like, hey man, gotta know what you're caught up in. Like, I don't know what you do. Like, that's like on your own. But like, I just hope this is not like where like you're going, where like you just surround yourself with better people and all that stuff. So, and I've tried weed before. I talked to mom about it. I've told people. I'm not embarrassed, but it's like at the same time, I feel like everything that led up to that moment like kind of helped me. To who I am.
So I'm sorry for stopping you, but I kind of just got a question in the middle. How important was it when B caught you with that he didn't not only like just kind of, I think the word is scorn you in the sense of like put you down instead of like the way he did it, like, because a lot of times you see people when someone does something wrong, they beat them up about it, like not like beat them up physically, make them feel guilty, like you're a terrible person, why'd you do this, why'd you do that? But instead B took the different approach of like, hey man, like I'm not really sure what you're going through, like, but I'm really not wanting you to go through this path. Like, please talk a little bit about how important that was, and for someone that is going through that, and some, let's say, a brother or sibling catches that.
Yeah.
What do you think they should be doing to allow the kid to not only understand that that is wrong, but there's a better way of like not really punishing the kid, but just giving them advice so that they don't actually go down that path.
Man, it meant everything. Like looking back on it, even that day. He called me downstairs and like was like, is this your laundry? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, and when he showed me, I was like, okay, I know I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Point blank period. Like he's going to eventually tell mom, somebody's going to tell, and like he's going to just like make me feel probably so bad. But when he took the different approach, like it just meant everything to me because it's like, he was actually seeing me and he kind of gave me the decision to make it like on my own. Am I going to continue going on my path or not?
Okay.
You know? And ever since that moment, like that literally changed everything. Because if he would have got mad at me, because I used to like leave the house early to go hang out with my friends and walk to school.
Yeah.
So if he were to like get on me and like really make me feel angry, that would have made me like not want to change.
Yeah.
So like my friends ended up coming to our house and knocked on our door and gave me the decision like, oh, you want to come to school? And usually when we go like walk to school together, we usually smoke, then walk to school and go to class.
Yeah.
But that decision, like I remember the night before when B talked to me, that made me like decide not to go to school. And when I didn't go to school, that exact morning is when all my friends got caught with weed and like caught high, so they got sent home and suspended. And ever since that moment, like I was like, you know what? Like weed was out of the picture for me then.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just never gonna like do it again. Yeah. So I didn't do it all like throughout high school or anything like that because I knew like that one decision could change everything. What happens if I make another decision and it goes like wrong?
Yeah.
Especially the fact that I was playing basketball like throughout my almost entire life. But that decision like changed everything just because B decided to take, I want to say the emotional route or like the sensitive route, but it was a route where he knew I needed to hear rather than wanted.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I needed to hear like, hey, it's your decision. Like I don't want you to go through that path, but hey, like it's up to you. I can't control anything.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Okay, so now another thing for you too. What you didn't make your sixth grade basketball team?
Seventh actually.
Seventh grade basketball.
And I didn't
team.
really play eighth grade year. I was just on the team that needed some bodies.
They needed extra bodies for you to just kind of play a full game of up and down.
Just in case somebody got hurt.
They're like, well, man, we got a team. Nah, let's just play with what we got right now.
But my eighth grade year, it wasn't the fact that I wasn't good in a sense. It was just the fact that like my grades were always bad. And I was still
okay. Let's talk about grades,
man. Jeez, really?
We can talk about grades because it's almost talking about like, dude, like you really like kind of did a 180 for real. For like for me looking at you, like as we've grown up together, like you and I, we've always had beef. Like you and I never really got along
until college.
But I think Why do you think for you the reason behind because I know why we didn't get along when we were little. Okay, I think we actually have the same. I think we both have the same answer. But you go ahead and then I'll answer.
Okay, in my opinion, I feel like we were just too competitive.
For sure,
like
I agree.
It was not only competitive like with sports. It was like competitive with like
life. Like,
yeah,
just
it was just every little thing we did. It like we tried to be better than the other person, and we were so passionate about it. Like, we're so passionate about, like, one-upping. And plus, you're only 1 year older than me.
Yeah, so
it wasn't like you're like...
Not even 1 year, like 10 months older than you. Something like that, bro.
Well, it has to be at least 1 year.
No. Yeah. Mom didn't stop with us. Mom did
she said,
right after me.
I, like, said so much I'm going to have a team. And then she was
then she's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, we were just so close in age. And, like, we were so competitive. You were a junior. I was a sophomore. Like... It was just we were always like kind of around each other. We went to middle school together for the longest time. Yeah. Out of everybody, I didn't go to school with Geller that long, B that long, J that long. It was always you because you're always right there. Like you were always in the next grade. When you graduate, I'm gonna graduate and be in college as well.
Yeah.
So it was just like I was around you all the time, and I was always competing with you. And obviously, we both know that your work ethic is completely different than anybody I've seen. And it was kind of like motivating me at the same time. But at the same time, I knew I wasn't as passionate in certain things as you.
Yeah.
So it was like, you were so passionate about some, like especially basketball, that like I knew it's like either I have to just miraculously like be better than you, or just actually like when you get up to go to the gym, sometimes depends the time, I'll go with you, you know?
Yeah.
But like back then, like I didn't mind getting up and going to work out with you.
Yeah.
Like it was just I wanted to be better than you, and like at the same time, you didn't know I was competing with you like all along.
Yeah.
So it was just that's why I feel like we got beef, because if you did something better than me, I was always like, instead of just like appreciating it and like giving you credit, I'd be like, well, I could beat that. I could do that.
And that's
and on top of that, I could do it while looking good.
And that's exactly what you did, though. And that was crazy. So for me, I guess from my perspective, like I think we didn't get along because we are 1 year apart, and you literally had no respect for me, which made me very highly upset.
Yeah.
Because in our culture, we understand that the older person's supposed to get more respect, right? So I would be respecting Zay, and Bukanzi, and then you be over here just disrespecting me like crazy, and I'd be like, what the.
But it wasn't just you. Like, I would do
that. But, like, for me, like, you didn't care about me at all. You just said, man, it's only Seth. Like, I don't care. Yeah. And that made me so mad. But then I think also for me, as we got older, too, once you started catching me up when it comes to basketball, one, you got, like, this growth spurt out of nowhere. Got taller than me. And then I was like, damn, bro, like, I'm out here working like crazy. And he just out of nowhere just grew all these inches, bro. And then it went from me being here and you being down here to us being literally right here, right next to each other. I'm like, what the? And then so for me, I was like, oh, dang, like, I was low-key jealous. I was like, man, like, I put all this work in, and then he didn't really even have to do as much. Yeah. And then, like, throughout high school, like, my work ethic, I would have to say, is okay. And then so I don't do as well high school-wise, but then you have this great high school career at the end. Like, I'm like... You don't think so, but I would have to say I wish that would have like the way I ended my career was the way you ended up your career. Like I can't sit here and say I had a 52-point game. Yeah. Okay, exactly. So
51. Don't give me that extra point.
51-point game, but not a lot of people can even say they did that. Yeah. And then even like you just told me that like that tournament went to today. You averaged like 35 in that tournament. I was like. I low-key got back jealous. I was like, damn, I'm not even hooping no more, but I got jealous all over again, bro. And so it was almost like, dude, like I was low-key jealous of like all the accolades you were starting to get. And I was like, dog, bro, like I'm just here like just trying to get by. I couldn't catch a break when it came to coaches or anything like that. And so I think that was part of it.
But the crazy part was like every accolade I got in high school, you could even ask anybody. Like I didn't appreciate any accolades like physical accolades, like awards, MVP, this and that. I didn't care about that. Yeah. All I wanted was like to be like noticed by you guys. Obviously, ever since I was young, that's the one thing I've been like working towards. And like I feel like it's gotten better, but like just being noticed by like you guys, you know.
I think that's just the thing. Growing up with 10 siblings, and the crazy thing, our family that's not us though. Yeah. Like we're not gonna sit here and baby like, hey, good job, bro. You did such a good job.
But that's one I would have preferred that over anything. You know, well, right now, I could have had a 5-point game, and you said, man, great job, man.
I'm
you
so proud.
And I would have been like, can I call it quits? The person don't want to play no more.
The person not to go to was John. John was not the person to go to when he came to, because I felt like a lot of times I was like, oh, John, like, I feel like I did good. I did good, man. But it was like, you had to do better. But I think that's what helped us get to where we're getting to. But now we go to college. Yeah. And so I go to college first, bro, and I'm just lonely. Like, I'm by myself. I'm all the way in Minnesota, and I'm cold, and I'm just lonely. And then, like, had no one to talk to, and then you and I got super close. Like, talk about that. Like, I guess we could talk about that a little bit.
It was cool. I feel like you don't appreciate something until it's gone.
For sure.
So like when you moved to Minnesota, it was like it gave me that space where like, okay, I wasn't always competing against you. Mm-hmm. I could just do my own thing. Yeah. And it's just like at the same time, like you started reaching out and we started talking and like it just got better from there. Mm-hmm. It didn't instantly get better because when you came back home, it was like
it was right back. Like we didn't miss a beat or nothing.
It's because I think we just went to go play, and then it was like bang, and it kind of ruined a lot. But like we were still.
Hey, and that was a year where I felt like I got really good.
You did.
I was
no, I totally agree. So like when you came back home, it was either. I think it was just the last day when you came back home. Yeah. And the last day before I had to go to school. Mm-hmm. It's like when we actually like because you first experienced because B State in state. Mm-hmm. Jay did her own thing. Yeah. But then you went out of state to play basketball, and you told me how lonely you were. So I was kind of nervous about that too. So I like tried to appreciate what I had before going to school. Mm-hmm. And man, that last day I like got like emotional in the car ride back to New Mexico. It was like,
for sure,
dang. Yo. But yeah. So it's just every time we were like apart from each other, like it's just we grew closer in a sense. Mm-hmm. Like, but yeah.
I know. Yeah. Going off to school for the first year all alone, especially growing with 10 siblings, like never getting any space alone, and then going to like, dude, the first like week I was there, I think I was very depressed. Like I was alone, like had no one to talk to, people didn't know me. Yeah. And it was just like this new place that I never experienced. But no, I think like you said, like you don't appreciate someone or something until it's gone, bro. Yeah. And that's a message of its own. Like we have to cherish the things that we have in life at the moment, like
and even just the little things.
Yeah, because a lot of times, bro, we're trying to live today. Like, why are we so busy worried about tomorrow when today hasn't even finished yet? Like,
tomorrow's not promised.
Tomorrow's definitely not promised. But dang, sorry people for kind of getting off track. We're starting to like go back to down memory lane. But okay, let's go back to that. Don't define me, man. So you overcome that whole like you didn't make that 7th grade basketball team, man. And then like as we were just talking a few minutes ago, you end up going to Western New Mexico, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Or East, it was Western New Mexico, right? So you get a scholarship to go play there. You redshirt the first year. Second year comes by, right?
Yeah.
Or does it come by? Because let's talk about that. Because this is another stepping stone for you to not let that define who you are and continue to move on. So let's talk. I don't know if you want to share that. If you do, I could. If you share it.
But let me just like briefly talk about high school.
Okay.
How high school was, going to school with all you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
College, I know it's kind of like individual, like because it just points me out. But high school, man, it was so hard. Like, because when everybody knows B was known around school.
Yeah.
Whether like all the teachers knew B, loved B. Like, loved our family because of B. And then, like, Jay came around. Zay. Smart. Oh, yeah, Zay, my bad.
Oh, you good.
She's, like, literally probably the perfect student. Like, studies, gets good grades, plays sports. Like, it's, like, how do you explain her personality? She's
exuberant.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good... I just thought that was a big word, so I decided to use it. I'm educated.
She's an extrovert. Definitely.
Yes.
So she loves talking to people. And you just kind of go with the flow. Me was just like, so when leaving like middle school, I didn't like want new friends. I didn't even want to go to Killers. Like I didn't want to go to the same high school as you guys because I knew I would have different problems. So my freshman and sophomore year, like I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. Like that's why I didn't really try to talk to people. I tried to exclude myself. I was an introvert. Anytime somebody would come talk to me, I just kind of like give them like a
cold shoulder.
Yeah.
So that's why people. That's another persona you had in high school. People were like, damn, but like team, I can't even talk to team. Like he's always angry.
And they'll be like, oh, your brothers are so cool, and like your sisters, like what's wrong with you? And I'm like, man, I'm just going through my own stuff. Like I'm not gonna be rude, but I'm not gonna like go out my way and like show you like I'm just like B or Seth or Jay. And like I don't know. I don't think I was ever fully like just like I was just a moist. Like anything I did, that last name was connected to it. And
it wasn't your own moist. It was like your older brother or your sister. Yeah. Okay.
So like any like accomplishment I did, oh, he's a moist. Of course, it wasn't. Oh, that's a Lunga. Like that's not team. And like anything I did, like it was just like that. That's why I feel like school wise and like sports, like I wasn't really like happy there until a lot of you guys left.
Until we all left.
Yeah, until you guys all left. My senior year was my favorite year. I didn't do much but go to school and play basketball and play volleyball, obviously, but that was the only time like I really felt like I could express myself. And maybe that's why my performance was better.
Okay, so question. So why do you think explain that to people. The people that previously knew you that probably still think you're the same team. Yeah. Like just explain your personality, like because I feel like a lot of people would come up to you and you would give them the cold shoulder, and people would be like, "Damn, like why is he always so angry?" I think people would come to me too, be like, "Dude, why is your brother always angry?" And I knew you. We lived together. I understood you could get mad, like but I think,
but only if somebody proposed.
Yeah, I pushed you because I kept trying. I would push you to your last button just because like I knew it would make you angry. But for other people, like, what was the reason about like what do you want to say for yourself for people to be like to understand you better, like?
Man, especially like my freshman year, I was just a kid trying to get to know myself.
Okay.
Still a new environment I had to go back into. Even though I knew some people from mid or elementary school. Yeah. Like they didn't know me as a kid that left. I was a new person. I was a person who just wanted to find who I was. Yeah. And with the last name attached and like the huge shadow that was cast over me. Yeah. Like I didn't want people coming up. Like I was getting people coming up to me that like I've never met, that knew B, that knew J, that knew Seth, and wanted to know me. But it's like, how can I didn't make any relationship. You like me already because of my last name. Yeah. So I wanted to like show you who I am. The kid I was then was like, I was a respectful kid-ish sometimes, Yeah. Like, obviously not as respectful as everybody else. I'll give people cold shoulders. I will tell the truth. I was very blunt back then.
Okay, so that's the thing. Yeah, you were blunt. You were, yeah.
And like, And I literally tried to like start things that weren't really even there. It was in my head. Like, go ahead, tell my brothers. Like, I don't care. Like, you really have a problem. Like I'll try to get into fights because like I just didn't like stuff like that was going on, and the stuff was like all in my head. Like I was the one. Maybe they wanted to be my friends. Yeah. Like who knows? But like at the same time, I didn't really know.
Yeah.
So it's like I couldn't really fully trust and. Like our relationships wasn't like the greatest either, you know.
Yeah, for
at
sure.
the time, so it's like, how can you come to me and tell me like, oh, they're so great, and then
you're like, I know them, I know them personally.
So I just try to. But yeah, it was just so hard, and like I started having an open mind, you know.
Yeah. As you got older.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like going into sophomore year, I had an open mind, and junior year I did, and like it turned out well. It turned out really well, you know. And yeah, that's what I want to touch about high school. But college?
So, in a sense, another thing that could have like held you back is almost our own last name.
Yeah.
Because you're almost trying to not even hold you back. Something that could have defined you. Because now you're not getting defined as who you are. You're getting defined as another human being, which is B. Which I feel like almost all of us people were trying to compare us to like people were like, oh, B's so nice. Like, why are you so? Because I went through the same things too. I understand you felt that way, but I also felt the same way too. In my mind, I was like, dude, I just want to be my own person. Like, I want to. Yeah. And I think that was the main reason for me to go to Minnesota. I was like, dude, like, I just want to have my own personality. Yeah. Like, I don't like to have this shadow over me, and people think I should be someone that I'm not. And so, like, yeah, like you're making a very valid. Like, I think our last name, in a sense, when it comes to B. Because B was like the main attraction when you think about it. Because we had older brothers, John and Moses, but John went to Glendale or something, like Glendale High School or something, and then Moses went to Peoria. Yeah. So we were so much younger than them. Like we didn't. Shout out to Coach Will. Coach Will. What is it? No, Coach Will, if you're watching this, man, we appreciate you. He was a AE coach for Peoria High School, man,
and probably the coach now.
Definitely, hands down, the greatest coach I personally ever had. I can hands down say he was a great. And I only played for him for like 6 months for the AE team, and I didn't even really play, but because he was just he was just a good human being. But anyways, I'm sorry, but let's not go past it. But just being defined by a completely other human being, like I was just like, dude, like. I don't want that, but
yeah, I totally agree with that.
But so honestly, kind of lost over
about college. I wanted to touch on high school, but now college.
Okay, let's talk about college.
I go to Western my first year, and everything is going well. Like I feel obviously the first month was lonely. I missed my orientation. It was even lonelier because orientation was when
you meet all the other freshmen.
Yeah, and then you get to know them oh, maybe you want to have lunch in the cafeteria tomorrow. And I went so early because of basketball and stuff like that, so school hadn't even started yet. Yeah. But once I got over that, I ended up it was super easy though in college. I thought I was gonna get suck in in the whole oh man, I miss my family so much and this and that. But when I went, I had my team there and they were so accepted me with open arms. Yeah. So it was easier. So if I was gonna hang out with somebody, it was gonna be them, you know. And the one person I had an actual connection with was Trevor. So that's who I relied on a lot. When everything had happened, but we had it was something called a Great Race. So this event that happens towards the end, or before finals week. So that was coming up, and they had a student night at a bar. Okay. So people were playing pool, people were playing water pong, people were playing all those games, just listening to music, dancing, and man, so me and Trev were playing together. We win, and this kid who was obviously drunk came up into my face and was like, "Get off the table," this and that. And I was just we just won, and trying to defuse the situation. And he was getting upset, and he ended up pushing me.
Oh, you don't do that.
No. He pushed me, but then he tried to push me again, but I had a cage behind me. Yeah. So I couldn't assess the situation as well as I should have. But he really wanted to fight. He swung at me first. So then obviously all I did was just defend myself, and I swung back, and it Didn't end up well. Ended up getting back to my coaches, but the cops had came, and the bar owner was like, no, like talk to the cops, like this kid didn't do anything wrong, like so they took down my statement, and the bar owner like vouched for me, and like we took everything down, and so that had happened, and everything seemed like it was going to be all right. We got a new head coach, so I didn't think I should present him like what just happened when everything was like handled.
Yeah.
But I didn't drink. I didn't do nothing. Like I wasn't in the wrong because I was underage.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So when I got back to the campus, so happened to be the kid who I ended up getting into a fight with, because it ended up becoming a brawl, not a fight.
Yeah.
But the kid I like got in a fight was with a professor's son. So he ended up.
He was the professor's son?
Yeah. And I took his class. He was the professor's class. But so he ended up going to his dad, and his dad ended up telling my coach, and the coach didn't know the full story. But he came at me like he knew the full story.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? This is not the environment I want to be in. And like I already knew this coach, and like he just wasn't the type of person I wanted to play for. So he said like you can like kind of get him back like the good graces with everybody else on the team and see if you want to come back. I was like, no, it's okay. I got my release form and left because everybody knew I didn't do anything wrong but defend myself.
Yeah.
And that's like everybody knew.
Okay.
So it's not like I like made myself look bad, but you know, everywhere you go, like you make your family look bad.
Yeah.
And mom had came and spoke at the campus like the semester before.
Yeah.
And so they knew who my mom was. They knew who I was. I was a good kid when I was there. I was respectful. I was like honestly open-minded. I did everything. I did a lot of like, what's it called?
I don't know what you're trying
something
to
that you do like for like community service. Like I did all that stuff. And like everybody who kind of knew who I was for me though, you know? And it was just tough to leave, but I knew I had to make that decision. But yeah, that's what happened.
So how do you not let that define the rest of your basketball career? Like,
it was tough. I didn't play the first year, so now they know me as a kid who got into a fight, and obviously coaches talk. So I tried to find other places to go play at. Nobody responded back to me. I reached out to Pima coach, Coach Peabody, and he ended up responding back to me. And he kind of like looked at me in high school, so it kind of helped. Yeah. But when I got there, like the first time, like he gave me a tryout. First day there, B took me to Tucson, and I got into another altercation during the tryout. Yeah. With their best player who ended up going to UConn. And the coach knew it wasn't my fault yet again, but I'm always put in these situations. Okay. Like I try to like defuse it, but when it can't get diffused, like it happens. And I'm not the type of person to just kind of like, well, now I am, you know, like kind of like revert to like, hey man, like let's just figure this out, or just kind of never put myself in that situation. But yeah, I was at the tryout, everything was going good. I was outplaying him, so he got upset, and I was a kid he'd never heard of. Yeah. So he ended up like getting in my face. He pushed me, and all the coaches like held him back, and obviously I said some words as well, and the coaches were just telling me to calm down. And in the moment, I didn't see it as like I didn't see it as I'm making myself look bad. I was just seeing it I'm defending myself. Yeah. And it didn't come out that way. But like nobody perceived it that way either. Yeah. So after the tryout, the coach said like, we know it wasn't your fault. Yeah. And they knew I had gotten into a previous fight at my old school. And he said like, we could leave all your baggage at the door. And that's what made me want to go there, because like I knew he was willing to let everything go. Okay. And like have a fresh start and like accept me for who I was. Okay.
That makes sense. Well, that was pretty dope with the coach, first of all.
And but like B was there too, and it was just like I didn't want to look bad in front of B, but it was like at the same time I had no choice. And then the car ride back, like I was trying to explain that to him, but at the same time it was like I don't know.
Okay. To B, he couldn't understand, even though he was there?
No, B completely understood.
Okay, that makes sense.
He was trying to make me feel better because they didn't offer me right away. Like they waited till I was like, they kind of offered me right away. But I told them I had to make a decision, talk to my family. But it's like, who knew if like I waited too long, like if that was going to make me look bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it was good. Like, I didn't know the coach I was going to play for loved that kind of stuff. Like, love, like, one player who would go through anything for his teammates, or, like, one player. And he ended up finding out that's who I was.
Yeah.
And that built me to, like, get in his good graces, too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would say that's a strength and a weakness at some points.
Okay, so what do you tell people that feel like your story is pretty dope? Because, like, one, you don't make the 7th grade team. You could easily give up.
And I didn't really like basketball either.
Yeah, you didn't really care for basketball or sports. But, like, how do you, like, go from, like, so all these different altercations, how do you now, because I feel like some people, like, allow things that are going on in their life to affect the way they, one, treat people, affect the way that they become ultimately. Like, how do you prevent that from becoming who team is in general, like who you ultimately become? Because you've made a 180 and you've decided to change. I'm not saying that you were ever in the wrong or anything like that, but sometimes when people for so long are labeling you as someone who, like, just wants to get in fights, someone who's angry all the time, someone who doesn't listen or who's not respectful, then that becomes them because they start believing what everyone else is saying. How do you overcome that? Like, because this is a podcast and we're trying to kind of help other people. Like, what do you tell someone else is going through something that you went through?
I mean, for me, obviously, it's faith.
Okay.
Like, all the time, like, I was acting one way, but I was also listening to when, like, Mom would talk to us, like, when we were in church, like, when we were also, like, talking about our religion. Like, I actually took that serious, like, and I understood, like, what had to. I couldn't say, like, there was one day I woke up and said, okay, I'm going to change my life around.
Yeah.
It just kind of happened, I took it one day at a time. Like, I lived every single day like it was like another day. But yet, I can't pinpoint a moment in my life where I was like, okay, I'm going to change it around.
Yeah.
Because I never saw myself as a bad kid. I heard everything coming from you guys. But I never let it get the best of me, And I love proving people wrong too.
All right.
So I just took it like, okay, I'm going to prove to you wrong. I remember all the time B or like Moses say, like, prove them wrong then. Like, if you're not a bad kid, prove them wrong. That's all you got to do. And the new environment definitely gave me the chance. That's exactly what happened, like, what helped me turn everything around.
So just new environment kind of helped you? Or being placed with better people, I guess, in a sense. So, like, making
that new environment was the better people.
Okay.
All
right.
Like, throughout high school, I never went to a party. I never drank. I never smoked. I never did anything like that. Like, I was literally... I think just being so, like, such like an outcast in high school helped me become the person I am now.
Yeah.
Because, like, not having anybody to go to and, like, not having, like, all these opportunities to go to parties or do this, it kind of kept me away from everything.
Okay. Oh, so another question is, like, what advice would you give to just people who, one, always seem like they're the people that are in the wrong, but it's not their fault. They're trying to diffuse the situation. They're trying to make things right. They try their best to not have to get to the point where they one have to fight or one have to do something wrong. Like, what are some advice that you could give the people?
I think the one advice I could give is just be comfortable with who you are.
Okay.
Like, let other people perceive you as, like, what they do, because everybody wants to judge the next person, even though they have other stuff they could be battling themselves.
Yeah.
So be comfortable on who you are, and actually, like, if you're gonna have, like, times where you slip up, times where, like, you are perceived bad, but just, like, stay true to who you are. And once you stay true to who you are, and that's not who, like, they don't define you, you define yourself.
Yeah.
Then, like, everything should turn out for you well. And, like, honestly, just have faith. It will turn out right.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it for That Don't Define Me episode, man. I want to thank my little brother. I know he probably doesn't look like he's smaller than me or younger than me. Smaller. What kind of English is that? It doesn't look like he's younger than me, but he is.
Text.
But I just want to thank y'all for just checking out this episode. But as always, man, I just got to say, God loves you. I love you. God bless. Stay safe. Thank you. Love y'all. Peace. Adios. Thanks.